Hey guys, welcome back to Anthony's Tennis Hub. My name's Anthony Hirsch, and Grigor Dimitrov has just delivered an absolutely breathtaking performance that's taken a lot of us back. It was unbelievable. Takes out the top seed, takes out the Indian Wells champion, takes out the two-time Grand Slam champion and former world number one, the 20-year-old, that is the sensation, Carlos Alcaraz, the new next gen, taking on the older, the original next gen, that is Dimitrov, finally fulfilling his potential. Maybe? He's been an amazing addition to the tour for a long time, playing incredible tennis for a long time. He's been as high as world number 3, Masters 1000 champion, ATP finals, but this was the best performance I've ever seen him play. This was next level. And he didn't have to sustain it over 2 hours, over 3 out of 5. Didn't have to play Roger, Rafa, or Novak, but Alcaraz is pretty good. He's pretty good in Miami. This was next level. Backhand, constant depth. And he had some amazing returns with the backhand as well. One-hand backhand just dropped out of the top 10. Well, this is a great advertisement for it. Number 11, if he wins against Zverev in the semifinals, who he doesn't have a great record against Zverev, 1-7, lost his last 7. But if he can win, then he will be world number 9. Back in the top 10. Dimitrov, I've said this before, such a great addition to tennis, and when he's on, man, is he fun to watch. This was always going to be fun. Two great shot makers. Before the match started, Dimitrov had won their last meeting. That was in Shanghai. Alcaraz won their first 6 sets of the head-to-head. Their first 4 matches were on 4 different surfaces, which is strange. Kind of the Sinner Alcaraz thing. They also played on indoor hard courts, outdoor hard courts, grass, and clay in their first 4 matches. Same thing here. It was 3-1 for Alcaraz, but Dimitrov won their last meeting in Shanghai. Alcaraz did not play his best tennis. That was when Alcaraz started not playing so well. It was also Alcaraz's first time playing in Shanghai. It was a 3-set match. Alcaraz was hitting a lot of early ball errors. Dimitrov played really well though. Just like in this match, he was coming to net a lot. He won 16 out of 22 points in that match. He also won 72% of his first serve points, made 72% of first serves in, which is phenomenal. He won 89% of first serve points in the 3rd set, deciding set. He was very clutch in that match. He converted on 4 out of his 5 breakpoint chances. Well, we saw a similar story here. I'll get into that. But, we saw similar things of Shanghai, but Alcaraz played better. Definitely. He said so himself. He played better here than he did in Shanghai. Alcaraz played well. He played good. Alcaraz played good. Dimitrov played one of the most astonishing, breathtaking, take me back performances I've seen of the last couple of years. Unforgettable. Really good. First set, going over the match as it happened. First set, Alcaraz had a break point in the first game. Alcaraz had a break point in the first game, and he set up the point perfectly. He got the return back well. He got a forehand deep into the ad side corner and pulled Dimitrov well out wide. Dimitrov still was in that corner. Alcaraz had a perfect backhand down the line lined up. He had a perfect setup for it. Alcaraz missed it just like an inch long. Who knows if the match would have had a different story had he made it? Who knows? But he missed it long. Could have been a breakup. 1-0. Very first return of the match. Dimitrov blisters an Alcaraz serve backhand inside out. He did this 3, 4, 5, 6 times in the match. Like, maybe even more. Maybe 7 or 8 times. He did it a lot. There are at least 4 or 5 flashy backhand inside out winners that he did. Pretty much hitting a Roger Federer 2015, 2017 shot, sabering the return of serve. It was stunning. He did it a couple times on the forehand as well, including to break Alcaraz in the second set, but we'll get to that. But it was incredible. Then he wins a 17-shot rally with some fantastic forehands. He finishes it with a great backhand topspin return, great pace, and gets a forehand Alcaraz error. He breaks the Alcaraz serve. At 2-0, too many buggy whip forehands from Alcaraz. He's not flattening out the forehand enough. Dimitrov is fully dictating. We know with Alcaraz, he doesn't like being pushed back behind the baseline. And listen, it was interesting because Alcaraz had only lost 2 ever matches to one-hand backhand players. Musetti in Hamburg, Dimitrov in Shanghai. Well, he just played Musetti, and we saw Alcaraz blistering forehands inside out to the Musetti backhand. I talked about the Musetti-Dimitrov match in my last Anthony's Tennis Up podcast, so you can check that out. I'll link it below my head. But yeah, so Alcaraz was blistering the Musetti backhand. And here, Dimitrov was blistering Alcaraz's backhand. Dimitrov's completely dictating off the forehand. He was the one stepping in. Alcaraz doesn't like being pushed back. This was bad. And Alcaraz did not switch up until too late into the match to flatten out the forehand and step inside the court. It was hard to do anyway. I mean, it's easy to say you can switch things up. It's another to really being able to implement that and have the skills to do it the way Dimitrov was playing, because Dimitrov was at full flow, peak level. It was incredible. Then Alcaraz steps up to the baseline 30-40. He misses a backhand at the top of the net on break point at 2-0. But Dimitrov has a great angle to his backhand, still just playing just nearly flawless. Dimitrov, still just such a phenomenal athlete. And on the second break point, Alcaraz hits an awesome backhand cross court, great shot, great pace, and Dimitrov still backpedaling from the shot. Somehow gets some forward momentum on it, even though he's backpedaling fully, trying to run around his backhand, hit a forehand on the second break point behind the baseline, kind of on the outside corner. And he somehow gets forward momentum on a forehand, which he perfectly places with great width and great pace of shot right into the backhand corner for Alcaraz and pins him and gets an error off of Alcaraz. Just so solid, so simple, going for his shots. Just keeps, that's what Dimitrov was saying after the match. He really was just staying in the moment and tried to make everything as simple as possible. But what a great belief and what a great confidence from Grigor Dimitrov to have the belief that he can make these shots, that they are simple. That what he did on court seems simple to him. Just saw what's ahead of it, in front of him. And even though they're low percentage shots, he made them with high margin. He had the belief that he can make those shots. He has the skills for those shots, and it seems simple to him, what he did on the court. One ball at a time, go for the right shot, and man, can only Grigor Dimitrov hit the right shot the way that he did tonight. At 3-1, Alcaraz played some great points, a backhand cross-court winner to get to deuce. Backhand looked so good versus Musetti. Again, backhand looked amazing from Alcaraz against Musetti. It really did. I thought it was the best I'd ever seen Alcaraz hit the backhand, at least up there. Amazing backhand hitting from Alcaraz. Here, the one-hander from Dimitrov that sometimes can break down. He's been hitting it with a lot more hitting it over the shot, hitting a lot more topspin. But after that, it's Dimitrov with a forehand inside out. On a neutral shot, opening up the court, putting Alcaraz on defense, which was great. And then a backhand smash, and then a big serve down the tee, which he did to hold at both the 2-0 and the 3-1 games. But it's just enough pace that even Alcaraz's forehand just can't handle it. Dimitrov was doing things that should be tough, like against Alcaraz, that just are just mind-blowing. I mean, that these things seem simple hit to him and that he could just do it with no problems. He was hitting with such great width and angle, so close to the lines. Everything was like perfection. And the fact that he can hit big serves to the forehand, not even go like 140 miles per hour right on the lines, but just constantly getting the first serve in. And when he got him in, just so much pace. It was just, even Alcaraz's forehand couldn't handle it. So he was going down the tee and it was working. It was great. So Dimitrov wins the first set. He wins the first set on a very strange set point. It's like a backhand, falling backwards that it looked like it was impossible for Dimitrov to hit any kind of, a low shot on it at all. It looked like it was definitely going to be a defensive shot. He hits a very low, fast backhand through the court that Alcaraz just didn't expect at all, and it ends up being a winner. Alcaraz doesn't even run for it. Dimitrov, flashy, in the zone. Second set. Biggest tell that Dimitrov is in the zone, honestly, has like a 1-minute service game to start the second set. I know that sounds like the least important or surprising thing. And in a way it's not, especially when you're talking about a player as good as Dimitrov. But when we are separating the great players from the best of the best, it's by players who can can keep a lead going and not put their foot off the gas. Because yes, it seems simple. These players are only human. Yes, it seems simple. Especially when you have high intensity, you're like, okay, I can relax for a little bit. No. You want to keep it going. Because when you're playing against players, especially at this high of a level, they will take any opportunity they can to reapply pressure, turn it back on, try to turn the match around. Any opportunity you get them. And it's the biggest opportunity right at the start of the second set when a player, especially if a player cruised in the first set, they can take their eye off the ball. The best players keep a lead. Best of the best keep a lead. That's why I think Juan Martín del Potro is so good. He only lost 31 matches in his entire career after winning the first set. 8th best in the Open era. So those kind of stats separate great players from the best of the best, you know? And Dimitrov, I think, did so well in this match, just kept his eye on the ball. Because Nadal and Djokovic, they basically don't lose after winning the first set. Dimitrov kept his eye on the ball. When it could have been easy to let off gas, 40 love, just kept it going. Looks so zoned in, so locked in. And listen, I think he's locked in for this tournament. First time making the quarterfinals, but it's just also make the semifinals. First time in 12 appearances made the quarters, now he's in the semis. So, really good stuff. Anyway, he's won now 12 of the last 14 points, holds to love. 3 unreturned serves and a great forehand inside out right on the line, just hitting the lines. By 1-0 after that service game, every +1 shot, every single one, 100% of Grigor's +1 shots were forehands. Not a single one was backhands. I couldn't believe it when I saw this stat. One of the craziest in-match stats I'd seen in a minute. Not one +1 shot was a backhand. Against Alcaraz. That's nuts. Alcaraz and his return to serve, not one. Just shows how solid Dimitrov was to getting to that forehand. Dictating. At 2-1, to break, it was 2 unbelievable shots from Dimitrov. So what I was talking about earlier. Dimitrov with an amazing forehand return to serve on the deuce side, where he gets it perfectly down the line to the corner, and Alcaraz just gives up. It's like, this isn't real. This is impossible. This is silly. It was a silly performance. 2 of the biggest talents on the tour. And this was just silly from Dimitrov. Alcaraz said he felt like he was 13 years old. Just impossible shots. Sometimes I say that Alcaraz looks like he's playing with a video game controller. Video game tennis. Unreal shots. Dimitrov looked like he was playing with cheat codes. 2-1. 2 unbelievable shots from Dimitrov. 2 poor shots from Carlos. No confidence. Drop shot in the net. A backhand just completely long. And yeah, it was just, sorry, not a backhand, a serve completely long, double fault. And then by 6-2, 4-1, 15 love, just peak of silliness, peak of the performance we were seeing from out. By the way, just tuning into the score and seeing that it's 6-2, 4-1 for Dimitrov over Alcaraz in Miami on a slow hard court. You're like, what is happening? But at 15 love, Dimitrov stepped in, hit, in my opinion, the craziest return of the match, which is just like the first return he hit, which is a backhand inside out stepping in. I mean, he was just hitting that backhand like a joke off the return to serve. People say the backhand, one-hand backhand struggles on the return. Dimitrov's doing pretty well here. This was him in just God mode. But yeah, a backhand inside out yet again. And Grigor at this point had won 25 of the last 33 points against Alcaraz. Alcaraz had won 8 of the last 33 points. And Alcaraz was playing well. At 4-2, Alcaraz standing in closer, switching stuff up, more importantly, flattening his shots out, even more importantly than he did start stepping in. More importantly, flattening out the forehands, breaks Dimitrov at love. Breaks Dimitrov at love, hits 3 forehand winners, and the other one was a Dimitrov error long. Some big forehand hitting. At 4-4, 15 all, Alcaraz had won 15 of the last 20 points at 4-4, 15 all. So, momentum switch for Alcaraz. He started playing better, started switching things up. Good stuff. Dimitrov didn't even play badly, but that's why it's so impressive. Alcaraz is playing well, and Dimitrov is still just rocking it. After a couple great serves out wide that caused errors, Dimitrov hits a great serve down the tee. Yet again, at 4-4, the other shots, Alcaraz hits a backhand in the net, a forehand long. I think Alcaraz switched up too early. He said it also in his post-match. He should have started flattening out his shots and stepping in a little bit earlier. It was a little bit too late, but it was more an incredible performance from Dimitrov than a bad performance from Alcaraz. Just what it is. And both players said it, or at least Alcaraz said it. Dimitrov is so humble. But Dimitrov was just locked in. I mean, he looked like he was just in killer mode. And he looked like he was going for the he was going for the win all the way, which was great to see him just so locked in, and it will be an amazing match against Zverev. But anyway, Alcaraz, I think he just wasn't in the rhythm of stepping in and still handling Dimitrov pace, so he hits a backhand in the net, a forehand long, and I just think that, yeah, now that he stepped in, I just felt like he didn't find his rhythm yet, and now it's already Dimitrov's a game away from winning, and there's just nothing to do. At 5-4, again, guess what? Dimitrov, like Roger Federer from 2017, a prime Roger. I mean, I don't want to compare Roger and Dimitrov. Like an amazing Grigor Dimitrov in 2024. Finally, maybe fulfilling potential, whatever it is, playing the best tennis of his life. In 2024, 32 years old, almost 33. Steps in, hits a backhand inside out. He's got plenty of time. Dimitrov's still here. If he hits returns like this, I mean, he could be a contender for the biggest titles in the world. And he is. He's in the semifinals. 4 or 5 times he hit the most amazing backhand inside out return in this match. It was crazy. Just ridiculous. And then a backhand slice return neutralizes then an unbelievable backhand down the line from Dimitrov. The most impressive for me of the match. It should have been a winner. Alcaraz is just unbelievably fast and tracked it down, which then Dimitrov hit a forehand down the line, as you do, against Alcaraz off a pretty good get that landed pretty deep in the court. But forehand down the line, or deep in the court, as to what I thought he wasn't even going to get to it. But this backhand down the line, Alcaraz was starting to hit huge, flatten out forehands. Flatten out forehand inside out. This was killing Musetti. Musetti was like, man, I can't handle this with my backhand, with my one-hander. This was struggling. Alcaraz was schooling him all day on the outside exchanges. He was getting that forehand inside out. It's like when you struggle playing a lefty, especially with the one-hander. It's because it's the lowest part of the net, down the middle. It's easiest to hit cross-court. It's the highest of margins. And you can attack and still have high margin, high percentage. Alcaraz attacking forehand inside out to open up the court. Dimitrov somehow is an amazing athlete, finds a way to just step in off the one-hand backhand down the line. And it should have been a winner. It was incredible. To get to love 30. At 15-30, Alcaraz again, as he's doing now, stepping in and playing flatter, hitting flatter forehands. But this was like a great summary of the match at 15-30. This point was unbelievable. This game 10, the match was unreal from Dimitrov altogether. It was a great summary of the match, but this point was a great summary. And Alcaraz was finally flattening out, hitting bigger. He comes to net with a forehand kind of inside out again. Dimitrov, fully on defense, kind of slices the shot. It stays amazingly low, just in the zone. Every shot working, full control of the court. That is like a Roger Federer type of moment. And Alcaraz kind of gets under it, hits a backhand drop volley. It's a very tough shot to pull off. Dimitrov so fast. Forehand down the line. Puts it away. No hesitation asked. Dimitrov just amazing speed, and Grigor has too much. He's winning this craft and slice and dice game. And the power game. Huge forehand down the line. Slice. Alcaraz tries a backhand drop volley. He's coming to net. It's not good enough. Dimitrov is winning the slice and dice craft game. Then it's a forehand wide on match point. Dimitrov is just too much, too strong on this day. It is 6-2, 6-4 for Grigor Dimitrov. Pulling out a performance out of a hat that looked like a magic act. Unbelievable. Dimitrov was hitting 85 miles per hour on forehand speed. Carlos was 77. And, I mean, these are just two next-gen shot makers. And Dimitrov finally showing what he's got. Alcaraz was only able to save 4 out of 8 break points, similar to Shanghai. Dimitrov breaking on half of his break point occasions. Similar stuff to Shanghai. Dimitrov hit way more winners. In Shanghai, it was like 29-27. This was a different story than Shanghai. Even a much bigger disparity of level, despite Alcaraz playing better than he did in Shanghai. And, yeah, and in this match, Dimitrov won 77% of first serve points, 63% in. Really good. He came to net 19 times, won 14 out of 19. Alcaraz came in 14 times, won 7. Dimitrov hitting incredible passing shots. And, yeah, I just don't know. Alcaraz does not lose in straight sets. Alcaraz does not lose in straight sets. Just to point out how rare it is to beat Alcaraz in straight sets, not counting Montero and Rio, where Alcaraz got injured on the second point, so I don't think you should count it. Alcaraz has only had 9 straight set losses in the last 3 seasons. 2022, 2023, 2024. This only his 9th. That includes Runa and Paris, where he retired. he's only had 9 straight set losses. It's only his 20th such loss at tour level, not counting that Montero loss again. And it's 30th total, counting future challengers. He just doesn't lose in straight sets. To get the point across, okay, here's another way to get the point across. So this is only Alcaraz's 3rd loss that's happened before October, which is when he really starts running out of gas. He's gotten injured a few times during that part of the season, and it's indoors, which doesn't suit his game as well. It's only his 3rd straight set loss before October in the last 3 seasons. Marajan in Rome, Jari in Buenos Aires this year, when he was lacking form, and also this match. It's only his 2nd loss in straight sets on outdoor hard courts since he lost to Mikael Ymer in Winston-Salem in 2021. The other one was Sinner in Beijing last year. Alcaraz doesn't lose in straight sets. 9 losses. This only 8 previous such losses in the last 3 seasons for Alcaraz. And most of those, the big majority, happened post-October when Alcaraz was really below his level, whether it was Goffin in 2022 or whether it was last year Safferlin in Paris. Alcaraz doesn't lose in straight sets. Think of Sinner at Wimbledon. 2022, when he pulled out an incredible tiebreaker. Norrie in Cincinnati, saving match points versus Musetti in Hamburg. Or saving match point versus Dimitrov in Barcelona. He doesn't lose in straight sets. He has a big thing against losing in straight sets. Dimitrov finishes off in straight sets. Remarkable performance. I hope Dimitrov can be a contender for big titles, because, man, he's still around. He's still an incredible athlete, and he can play well, and he looks zoned in. He looks zoned in for the title. And yeah, that's kind of my breakdown of this match. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm here talking about all things tennis. We bring a fresh take to tennis. Anthony's Tennis Hub. Share around this podcast, the videos, all that stuff. Please don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. To Anthony's Tennis Hub, have a weekly podcast. And definitely stay tuned for that. I'll have a video above my head that you can check out. I'll see you guys at the next one. Dimitrov gets it done versus Alcaraz.